So everybody has to agree. If not, well, sorry. All righty. Great, everybody. Okay, we're on YouTube. So that will be recording tonight's meeting. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, well, welcome. Sorry for the delay. I've got some Zoom issues and rebooted and it didn't fix anything. So let's see. So tonight we're going to go through. Al has current news and rumors. If anybody has any volunteer or member announcements, that's coming up. We'll do tech Q&A. And then I'm going to talk about Siri and shortcuts. And shortcuts are very, very, very powerful. It's almost like being a computer programmer. And we're going to just touch on them. But the first Saturday class will be 3 hours about Siri, other dictation, etc. Now, a couple rules tonight when we're discussing things. We'll say it again, hopefully before the presentation, but nobody say the word ALEXI because that'll set some people's devices off. And we don't want to say the word hey and the word Siri together because that will also set some people's devices off. So you can say, I say hey and the word Siri, and that gets around it. So just a couple of things on that so that we're not making everything go off in people's homes and all of a sudden the A device will order 3,000 rolls of toilet paper or something like that. So that could be inconvenient. So our first thing, current news and rumors, and I'm going to turn that over to Al and I'm going to unshare my screen. And Al's welcome to share his if he would like. I think I made you co-host, so it's good he has some good information.
Let's see here.
It has some great information, actually.
Okay, here. Everybody see that? Oops.
Not yet. Green button at the bottom, share screen. Oh, yeah, you got the multiple monitor thing going.
Yeah.
No, we're seeing nothing.
Okay, let me see here. I got to choose the monitor here.
Yeah, or just choose your desktop and then slide it over to it, but either one. Or if it's in Safari, just choose Safari. There you go. I think we're seeing it.
Yep.
Well, we're seeing a pretty background.
All right. Here we go.
That's it. We got the lead page. Perfect.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Here's welcome to my daily Apple Tech News Odyssey around the internet. First up, from 9 to 5 Mac, Apple's iPhone 14 event date confirmation is now official. Came out today. Just as rumors suggested, the company will hold an event on September 7th to announce the new iPhone 14 lineup, the Apple Watch Series 8, the Apple Watch Pro, and more. Apple is teasing.
I, in fact, got an email today from Apple. I've never had that before. I got an quote invitation, not to go there, but see it online.
Nice. Apple
got
is
it too.
Me too.
All right.
Apple's teasing the event with the tagline "Far Out." According to Apple's invitation, this year's iPhone event will be in person. This breaks Apple's run of virtual events prompted by COVID-19 pandemic. And we still expect the event to include some video pre-recorded throughout Apple Park. The event will take place, of course, like I said, on September 7th. That's a Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. And you'll be able to tune in via Apple's website, the TV app on your iPhone, iPad, your Mac, your Apple TV, of course, and also via Apple's official YouTube channel. And just like Apple events in the previous years, there'll be a new OS. Uh, Apple has reportedly finished development of the initial public release of iOS 16 for the September 7th event. But iPad OS 16 and Mac OS Ventura may wait till October. In his Power On newsletter for Bloomberg, Mark Gurman claims a development of iOS 16's initial release of version 16.0 it was concluded in mid-August. So it's been there.
So let me address these dates here really quick. So it's the 7th because Labor Day is the Monday before. So they normally would have it on a Tuesday, but in this case, that's first day back. So it's a Wednesday. Now, typically in the past, they make the announcement. So you'll see they'll talk about iOS 16. They'll also talk about the new iPhone. And generally what they do is they then set a release date for you to get iOS 16. And remember, it's not always the best. It's not always the best to be a pioneer, because the pioneers are the first ones with arrows in their backs. And that's why they call it the bleeding edge. So be careful, but it seems to be pretty solid. The other thing is generally speaking, that Friday at midnight or Thursday at midnight is when they would open up ordering for the new iPhone, with it arriving in stores the following Friday, or shipments coming to you on the Friday. So just to kind of put that in your, in your Ouija board of it, indications are Ventura will be delayed. Don't expect any new Mac products because it's definitely not a Mac event. And I don't think you'll necessarily see any iPads. What you'll see is new iPhones, iPhone 14, and you'll see Apple Watch 8. So thanks, Al. Go ahead.
This from Apple Insider. On August 19th, Shazam turned 20 years old. As of that week, it has officially surpassed 70 billion song recognitions. It's a mainstay in pop culture, and the platform has changed the way people engage with music by making some song identification possible to everyone. It currently has 225 million global monthly users. Whether you're young or looking to discover something new, or not so young like me and looking to recall the lost musical gems of your youth, Shazam is indispensable. Love it.
And
to mark the
Shazam
occasion,
is actually, it was a separate app. Apple purchased it. And now if you just tell SIRI, say, hey, and the word Siri, what song is playing if you're in a restaurant or something that, or even on your device, if you're just listening to Pandora or something like that, it will go find it. The name Shazam dated from the old superheroes, where the comic heroes, where people would hold their phone up to speakers and their hand was up in the air, like a superhero would have their hand up in the air. And Shazam was a standalone app again, and then Apple acquired it, and it's part of the OS and with Siri.
To mark the occasion, Shazam invites fans to take a trip down memory lane with a special playlist comprised of the most Shazammed song of each calendar year for the past 20 years. It features everything from Train's Hey Soul Sister to Sia's Cheap Thrills, and the playlist is a true reflection of the music fans across the globe actively search for over the past 2 decades. If you listen, you can listen to it now exclusively on Apple Music. Only shortcoming I think there is I didn't have it when I was young, and it only goes back 20 years, which we
didn't
had
have iPhones when you were young.
I know.
Or me either.
Youth is spoiled. This from MSN and Axios. On August 19th, for the first time ever, more Americans tuned in to watch programming using streaming services than by cable or broadcast TV. This is according to Nielsen. The company released its numbers for July on August the 18th, which shows streaming accounted for a record 34.8% share of total television consumption. Cable generated 34.4, and broadcast claimed at 21.6. Streaming usage has surpassed broadcast viewing numbers before. However, this is the first time it has come out ahead of cable. Broadcast TV normally sees a lull in viewership during the summer months until networks return with new programming in the fall. So it's a sign of the times. Next up, this from 9 to 5 Mac again. JD Power is out with its yearly study on U.S. credit card satisfaction, and Apple has come out on top for the second year in a row. For those of you who may not have one or are interested in acquiring an Apple card, 9 to 5 Mac has a really useful guide that should cover just about any question you could have. With the next Apple event around the corner, it's a great way to get 3% cash back on your Apple purchases. And go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, there you can get the 3% on a few other things, Exxon and T-Mobile and Panera, just to name a few. It's pretty handy. And
occasionally they do a 5% off on Apple stuff, but there's some other sales going on right now, so they don't have that. But the other thing is they've really stepped up to the plate. Goldman Sachs is handling this, and they've never really had a card before, but it really is the Apple panache and the Apple way of doing things. It's so simple to do, but it also, you get your cash back at the end of the day on your discounts. And the other thing is that it is really good about if you don't pay your credit card off every month, it gives you a very nice way of looking at it and saying, oh, if I increase payments $20 this week, how will that help me paying off my card and things like that? So I really think that they are making a great effort for people that don't pay off their cards right away to kind of see not only how far you can get in trouble, but also to kind of say, hey, look, if I do this, how it's going to affect me overall. And I think they've done a masterful job of that. And I think it's in the form of education. And frankly, I think that's one of the nicest things that could do for people, because everybody's a little different with how they handle their credit cards. Thank you, Al.
This from TechCrunch. A week ago today, August 17th, Apple released software updates for iPhones, iPads, and Macs that fixed 2 security vulnerabilities known by Apple to be actively exploited by attackers. The 2 vulnerabilities were found in WebKit, which is the browser engine that powers Safari and other apps. And the other is the kernel, which is essentially the core of the operating system. The 2 flaws affect both iOS and iPadOS, as well as Mac OS Monterey. Highly recommended to install this update if you don't already have it.
And I don't think it's just Monterey, though. I think it affects older versions. So as far as I know, Monterey is the only one they've patched, though. Is that anybody else got any input on that?
According to this article, that's all the showed and stuff. But if it attacks the kernel and Safari, WebKit, it's best to patch it and install it, just like other timely security updates. It's a good thing.
And that being said, I was a proponent of Mojave, staying with Mojave for a long time, but the time has come. If your computer can support Monterey, definitely go with it. There are some back to mid 215 computers that'll do it. If not, now the one question mark is Catalina was not a great operating system, but Big Sur is pretty good. So if your computer can handle Big Sur, go to that. Always make sure you have a time machine backup. But Mojave is getting a bit dated, and in fact, they're not updating the browser anymore. So you're going to run into problems like you did with High Sierra and those before it. So, and again, Ventura will be out this fall. Don't rush to it. It's got some neat things, but be careful on it because they've been making they're doing a ton of things different in the code. But this was very serious, so you should make sure that all your iOS devices, and if you're on Monterey, to update it, because this vulnerability, hadn't heard of it really doing anything, but it's more than theoretical, and it's one of the few times that Apple has voiced their concerns on this. So
if it's actively being exploited, then
Yeah.
everyone should race to make the installation.
If I can just interject here for a minute, it's Lisa. I've got an early 2015 MacBook Air, and it accepted Monterey, so it'll even go back to an early 2015.
Great. Good to know. Finally, I came across this article from the Washington Post that posed the question: when are your gadgets going to no longer hold a charge, and what happens when they do? Unfortunately, many are simply designed to die. The Washington Post analyzed the potential lifespan of 14 popular consumer electronic products by digging up often hidden specifications of their built-in rechargeable batteries. All the manufacturers have to deal with the same constraints of lithium batteries that hold less charge when repeated use. Each is designed for a typical number of complete recharges known as cycles, and can die quickly after it falls below 80% capacity. 3 of the 14 items were Apple devices, and I thought I'd take a look at what they say about each one of those. And one of them is the Apple AirPods. Their estimate about how soon it could die, I'm assuming this is probably the classic AirPods, I think.
Yeah, because it's the longer case.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's a stock photo, so it may not.
Yeah.
It's probably the same for most of them.
Yeah. Anyway, their estimate is 2 years. And how many recharges can it take? According to them, apparently Apple won't say in any of their literature.
Typical lithium ion batteries that are out right now are good for about what they consider 1,000 charge cycles. So a half discharge, half charge is considered a half of a cycle. And so it's kind of the way it works. And when you're done, Al, I've got some comments on battery and recycling.
Great. Very good. What happens when the battery dies? Apparently, Apple's battery service will sell you a new one for $49 per earbud. As a potential workaround, replacing the battery yourself is extremely difficult, but there's a site called the Swap Club that will send you a refurbished set of buds for $60 if you send in your old ones. So I can't vouch for how good these are or whatever, but I found it interesting. The next item on their list are Apple iPhones, of course. Their findings for how soon the battery would fail is 3 years. How many recharges it can take? Apparently 500 charge cycles for 80% capacity. What happens when the battery dies? Apple's official battery service is a $69 bill. Apple says with normal use, its batteries typically exceed this cycle count. And the final item on their list was the MacBook Air. The Washington Post estimate for how soon it would die is 4 years. How many recharges it can take, like Ken said, 1,000 charges for 80% capacity. And incidentally, if you have one, you can see how many cycles yours has by going to the About This Mac. And if you click the system report and click power, then you'll see a cycle count number. What happens when the battery dies? Apple's official battery service is $129. And again, Apple says
and that's for the Air, and it varies for the Pros and the others. $129 for the Air.
And Apple says with normal use, its batteries typically exceed this cycle count. They're always fairly conservative with what they say. And that's it. All these links are generated tonight, will be distributed in a PDF by Bob in his normal MacNexus email blast, and it will. I'll post it sooner on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is a great forum for late-breaking curated Apple tech news and some support. We encourage everyone to come take a look, check us out.
Al, as always, thank you. Those are great. And again, don't hesitate to go visit the Facebook page, because Al links a ton of stuff there, and it's constant and it's a flow of information. So
Yeah.
he curates that, and then he spends a ton of time. You can go in and see the best ofs, and that's a daily thing.
Yeah.
Um,
And
go ahead.
I just about to say it's good to have the kind of hive mind mentality when people can, share their experiences or, their concerns. And it's a way to, just a great resource I found.
Yeah, and as much as I'm not a fan of Facebook, I use it for certain things.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
like with this, a lot of times people will ask tech questions on there and stuff, and the crowd is really good about trying to answer that. So and on especially on the MacNexus, the signal to noise ratio is pretty darn good. So
All right, Ken, back to you,
let's-
buddy.
Will
Yeah.
that Facebook page go into the chat?
You bet. I can insert it.
Thank you.
So I want to address batteries. First off, if any Apple device needs a replacement battery, only get it done by Apple. Their prices are the same as other people, but also there's so many little intricacies, like on your phone, you have the Face ID or the Touch ID. You have all these different things that are affected. And the other big deal is the quality of the replacement battery. So everybody's always said from day one when the iPhone came out, because other phones at the time that were quote smartphones had replaceable batteries. Well, when Apple came out with a phone without a replaceable battery, and everybody's complaining, well, why didn't Apple do this? Well, I took a step back and I looked at it and I said, there's two reasons why they didn't do a replaceable battery. First and foremost, if you have a replaceable battery, the battery itself has to have a plastic case around it. It adds thickness, it adds weight, it adds instability. But the other thing is, if you have a replacement battery, you never know what quality the battery is. So here you have Apple coming out with a brand new iPhone. Apple always has a target on their back. And can you imagine if someone had sourced a very inexpensive battery from China and they had put it in their iPhone and the darn thing got really hot and didn't catch fire, but got really hot in someone's pocket? The news would not be person with iPhone with a cheap replacement battery burns up in someone's pocket. No, the news would be iPhone burns up in someone's pocket. So you have to be very careful of that. And that's why they made it. In fact, believe it or not, it's tough to get the iPhones apart, but there's even some special screws. Apple implements two very unique screws when taking apart some of their products. They have a pentalobe screw, which is the head has got 5 sides on it, not 6 like a hexagon, or not 4 like a Phillips head screwdriver, but a pentalobe. And it can be gotten, but it's a fairly rare screwdriver. So some backyard garage mechanic is not going to be able to do it. And Apple also has a tri-wing, essentially a Phillips head with only 3 arms on it. And so those things are, you have to have that specific screwdriver to get into that stuff. But let's talk about recycling, because that's a huge deal. Because under my car, there's 17,104 batteries, and everybody always says, well, first, how long is the battery going to last? Well, the batteries coming out in good EVs right now will last 500,000 miles. When the new battery, the new 4680 from Tesla comes out, it's also starting a little bit. It is shown that it will probably last 1 million miles. So it's going to be a long time till you have to recycle them. So in a car battery, the case is that they can then be a home storage battery. So like people buy power walls and things to supplement their home, and big businesses. So they could have a second life as that. But after this 1 million miles or 20 years, there's one of the co-founders of Tesla has started a company called Redwood Enterprises, whatever it is. They are going to be the leader in recycling lithium batteries. And I'm going to talk about lithium batteries because I know this is a huge deal right now. And believe me, there's lots of fake news out there on everything about this. Everybody's poo-pooing it. So the way it works is if you take a battery from an iPhone, it'll be kind of hard with the ones in the little AirPods because those are so small, but those are fully recyclable. What they do is, you always think about them deconstructing the battery, and I didn't get it because it takes so much to deconstruct the battery. A typical battery is what's called a cylindrical battery, whereas like in the MacBook Air and the phone, it's a pouch battery, but they're built a little different, but they have lithium in there and only about 2% lithium. Everybody always thinks it's a ton of lithium, but some of the batteries have cobalt, cadmium, rare earth metals and things like that. So what they do is this Redwood, this recycled battery thing is they take the entire battery because it's in a stainless steel enclosure and all this, and they pulverize it into essentially sand to that consistency. It's just crushed and crushed and crushed and crushed. And what happens is then now they mine everything that was in that battery is reused. And they have these special ways with air and vibration because every material in the battery has its own specific weight. So if everything is the size of a BB, the BBs would go in how heavy the heavier BBs, if they're the same size, are going to go to the bottom, and the lighter ones are going to go to the top. So if you have these grains of sand that are all the same size, what happens is in a huge thing, they separate it. They peel off the lithium, they peel off the cobalt, the cadmium, any of that stuff. And every bit of it is now, quote, mined. And that's what goes in new batteries. The material has never been, the material is not destroyed in a battery. What happens is a battery gets clogged up. Ions travel across from the anode to the cathode and back and forth. And after a while, not every ion can make it back and forth. And so they get clogged up, and that's why you get 80%, 70%. But the components of the battery are never lost. So they go out and they can it's essentially mining. And that's how this recycler is going to make a bunch of money, because cobalt's expensive, cadmium's expensive, the lithium, they'll get it there. It's going to be the cheapest way. And so the beauty of that is you're no longer going to have to be pulling that stuff out of the earth. The other new trend in batteries right now is what's called LFP. Before they were lithium ion, nickel, metal, cobalt were in most of these batteries. The new battery LFPs, which are being made right now, and they're going to be very mainstream within the next year. They're lithium, and again, very small amount of lithium. Lithium is the third or fourth most prominent element there is in the world. And it doesn't have to be mined. They can take water and evaporate the water, and lithium's left behind. So lithium's everywhere. F for iron and phosphate. So the new batteries aren't using, the problem with cadmium, cobalt, and nickel is they come from the conflict countries. And so that is not great. But the new batteries, lithium, F for iron, P for phosphate. First of all, that'll be the 1,000,000-mile battery, and they can charge to 100% all the time. And they're incredible. They probably don't have as quite a performance, but they're going to have plenty of performance. So that's what's happening. And they have very little memory effect too. So where your iPhone may only charge after your laptop may charge 1,000 charge cycles down to 80%. You'll probably get 2,000 as maybe 3,000 at 100% on that battery life. So that's what's changing in batteries, and I'm glad Al brought it up because it is a big deal, and it was great news to hear that. And Redwood, just look it up. It's Redwood Enterprises or something like that, and they're near the Tesla factory up there. Tesla's doing its own recycling on it, but that's the thing is Tesla's been building cars since 2008, and there are so few batteries that come back to be recycled. I mean, they had, the batteries in the early cars weren't that great, but what was happening is people would buy all the cells out of the batteries and they retask them to other things. So there have been very few batteries going back into the system to be recycled, and they don't just throw them away because they have great use. Mary, you have a question.
Yeah, just curious, is this all lithium batteries or just the ones from Apple and that get ground up and totally recycled?
Well, virtually. So the name lithium battery is a bit of a misnomer. In fact, it started out as lithium ion, which means it has lithium and the ions go across. Lithium is a very small component of the batteries, but the lithium batteries are the newer technology, like ours, that lasts so good. You wouldn't have electric cars if there weren't for lithium, quote unquote, batteries. But what it is that the batteries before that were nickel metal hydride. That's what we had before. And then before that, it was alkaline batteries. So they're all of the lithium battery type, but the chemistries vary greatly.
So in other words, you can't recycle the other batteries that are recyclable aren't recyclable to the same extent as these lithium batteries.
What other batteries do you mean?
Well, I mean, like the alkaline or, the birthday cards that have little batteries in them and everything else.
Well, a lot of those little bullet batteries are lithium. I would say, though, that there's probably, yes, it could be, but how realistic is it? And how much, there's really very little materials in those things versus the 17,000 inside a car. And to be honest, even in an iPhone, the battery pouch is fairly small, but those can be, yes, reclaimed. Those just get thrown into this big mix and get crushed with everything else. And when I say crushed, you may have a plastic case around the battery. Well, everything gets crushed and pulverized, and then the plastic is at one level. In fact, different types of plastic. Metals are at another level, like the stainless steel that the batteries are encased in. That's going to be at a certain level. All of that will be recyclable. It's amazing. And that's how that business is going to make money. So sorry to rant on that for a while and stuff, but I think this is just something that's so present day and informative. And, Apple takes a very aggressive role on that, and theirs go the right way and recycle. The other thing is, just so you know, when you hear about e-recycling, the circuit boards and things like that, when they do the same thing. They pretty much pulverize them. And what they're trying to recover is the gold and the silver, because a lot of the connections on the boards, those are metals that it makes them enough money to recycle those to pay for that. So any other questions on that? Great question, Mary. All right, let's go back and I'll look at the keynote here. Oh, I guess the next thing is current new or volunteer member announcements. Any members have anything they want to talk about? Any volunteers? Anybody? Either raise your hand or undo your mic.
And it's Lisa, and this really doesn't fit, but I'm going to take the opportunity. We have 2 members who are signed in with only their first names, Arlene and Kathleen, and we'd really like to have them in the raffle tonight. So
Harleen, I will fix you. It's Harleen Adams, right?
Okay. Yeah, we figured that, but to be fair, we just want to make sure. And so if Kathleen can share with us, thank you, Kathleen.
Perfect.
We are good to go. Thanks, everybody.
That's also, you can officially get into the raffle. The raffle will be, that's going to keep you all here until the end of the meeting. So that's great. Thanks for bringing that up, Lisa. Anybody else have any questions, comments on that? Because we can motor over to tech Q&A at this point. Bob, I don't think we had anything in the purple Mac, did we?
Oh, yeah, we did. I sent you an email.
Oh,
morning.
I'm sorry. Let
I
me
think
grab it.
I think the question might have been from Bev. I don't
Let's see.
remember for sure. Probably somewhere around lunchtime, I think.
Well, I can just restate if I'm the only
Yeah,
one.
we got you live. Go for it, Bev.
Yeah, no, it was asking for a friend, truly.
Yeah, right.
Right. Well, yeah. She's running a Big Sur, and I've been trying to get her to join the club, but she's in East Coast. I said we Zoom. So, but anyway, she's running a Big Sur and was wondering if there was anything to be aware of in upgrading to Monterey. Any issues? I wrote down definitely to be sure to back up Time Machine, but it should be a fairly smooth upgrade.
Yeah. Yes, and so in Monterey is fine, and you really want to be on that from the security issue. But the big jump was going from Mojave to Catalina because of the 32-bit with all the apps. So by going to Big Sur, you've already had the big pain there, and I found that Monterey is a very smooth upgrade, and I encourage it wholeheartedly.
Yeah, my person upgraded mine, and it's very fine. The only thing that was different was the little bubble, the notification bubble up in the upper right corner. You have to hover over it to get the little X to close them out.
Yeah, there's a couple
Minor.
little quirks like that. So
Okay. So just back up Time Machine and go for it.
yep. And Time Machine definitely. And I always say, make sure you go up there and look at a current Time Machine, and right before you do it, click back up now 2 more times just to make sure everything's in there, and then download it and off you go.
Okay, thank you much.
All right, Melissa, your hand was up next. Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. I too am contacting the club for input for a friend. I have looked and it's running El Capitan. Yeah, it's
Sorry,
real.
I'll mute.
But it's kind of in a loop where even after multiple restarts, there's a little tiny dialogue that pops up and it says account D wants to access keychain, or cloud D wants to access keychain. And then there's a whole bunch of other kinds of things like that. So one of the things that is possible, I guess, is to sign out of the Apple ID and to sign back in.
Well, when that
I
pops up,
recently
doesn't
tried
it
that
ask-
for myself, and photos didn't completely repopulate one of my shared photo albums. So, anyway, so if I work and we log out of Apple ID, what are the best choices to make about what to save on the hard drive or what to just, blow away and think that Apple, the logging back in will solve the problem?
So first off, when those things pop up, it asks you for the password to the computer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's okay. We got that.
And those are okay, because what that's saying is, allow me to access the keychain where my passwords are stored.
Okay.
So there's nothing wrong with those. They look like, oh, is this like bad? And do I have to worry? So I would go through those. And the other weird thing in those older operating systems, many times it will pop up and ask you to sign in with the Apple ID. And then you put it in, and it doesn't give you an error that you put it in wrong, but another window pops up asking you the exact same thing. And I have seen it as much as 9 times in a row. And what it's doing, the old way it was, it says it's having you sign in for iTunes, then it's having you sign in for iCloud, then it's having you don't really see it because it's all the same window, and everybody seems to think that it's the wrong one. Now, are you able to get signed in with the Apple ID?
I did go to iCloud.com and use the account and password, and that was successful. So I know I have
but in system preferences, were you able to get into it?
No, it hangs up there. It's kind of like you're saying multiple sign-ins and multiple sign-ins.
Yeah. So you do the multiple sign-ins, but the other really weird thing that happened on those old ones is it's old enough that it won't support 2-factor popping up. And you had to put a code if a two-factor pops up on another device, you put that after the password. It was really weird and convoluted. Is it an old machine too?
Well, no, it's a 27-inch Mac, but yeah,
Oh, that
old,
could be
old
as
enough.
that could be as old as a 2010.
I didn't look at the date, so
Yeah.
okay.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you, the new 24-inch iMacs are so gorgeous, and you can get them starting at $12.99. So that might be something to think about, because the other thing is the browser's old enough. You can't do Safari. I'm sorry, you can't go to like Kaiser or Sutter or any of those, and most of the
Right.
banks.
Right.
So yeah, either get new friends or have them update their computer.
Yeah. Really. Okay. All right.
And
Thank
you know
you.
me, I'm an always, if it ain't broken, don't fix it kind of guy. But at some point, that's, that thing's probably approaching 12 years old. So
Okay.
All right.
The one last thing is,
Yep.
if I sign out of the Apple ID, what are
Yeah.
the choices I should make about what to keep or what to, not store locally?
Well, that thing probably doesn't support iCloud desktop and documents. I'd make sure everything's local, and then so when you sign out, it's not going to delete anything from the cloud, and it's not going to delete anything from the computer. It simply is just making it so it doesn't connect to the cloud anymore.
Okay.
And what was the photos question?
Oh, that was my issue and I'm living with it. So
Okay.
I'm okay with that. All
Yeah,
right.
and on that, do the same thing. So, a lot of times, and this is good for everybody to think about, when you have, so first of all, I've noticed photos takes a long time now to kind of get from your phone up, and there's just different issues with that. But the way you have to understand that your phone does not sync directly with your computer or with your iPad. They sync via the cloud. So the way to check to see if a picture you took on your iPhone, what's hanging it up, not getting it to your other device, is you go to iCloud.com on a browser on a computer or the browser on the iPad. You can't do it in the browser on the iPhone. And you go up there and see in the iCloud if the picture made it. And if the picture made it to the photo library on the iCloud, then it's a matter of it not getting back down to your other Apple device. And in that case, a lot of times signing out and signing back in will help. But I've noticed that it can take weeks for photos to kind of do it across. And I don't know why. And hopefully they're working on that.
Okay. All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Go ahead, Darian, go right for it and unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. So I dutifully and right away updated to the latest patch. Monterey hasn't been nice to me. When I first updated to Monterey, I started having trouble, which I mentioned here before. It would not allow me any longer when I was trying to open an attached doc or docx. It wouldn't do it for me. I have to do a workaround because I don't have Word. I use what's called LibreOffice. And I have come up with various workarounds. But it used to be I could click on the attachment before Monterey and the attachment would open, no problem. But now that doesn't happen anymore. It only opens as a read-only file, and I have to go through various shenanigans.
Have you gone? So one way you can try, and tell me if you've already tried this, is
Sure.
you go to a doc. So you want to do this with both DOC and DOCX.
Right.
Find one of the files and hit Command I to get info.
Yep.
And then there's a thing that you can say open with.
Yep.
And when you say open with, select whatever you're using. And then when you've selected that, there's a button that says change all. And that would mean change all DOCs so that it opens in LibreOffice.
Yep. It already, LibreOffice was my default, but open with does not make it work any better than anything.
Bob here. By the way, LibreOffice came out with a major update last week. So you might want to go and check that out if you haven't done that already.
I actually updated LibreOffice day before yesterday because of
So
the
you-
second.
Oh, you have it,
problem.
okay.
7.4.
Pardon?
Yeah, I think so.
I think the latest version is, I'm looking at the site right now. It's is it 7.4, Bob?
My memory tells me that's correct. I won't swear on a stack of Bibles.
So Darian, do you have Pages?
I do have Pages, but I wanted, by the way, the version I just downloaded, whatever, a couple days ago is 7.3.5.2.
You're up to 7.4.
Okay, I'll try that. Just maybe that will work better. But just before I get into Pages, the second problem I have is that just like any other document in the days of old, my LibreOffice documents, be they docs or docx's, if I clicked on print, then I would have an option to save as PDF. And with this latest Monterey update, that's no longer what comes up. Something weird comes up and I don't know what to do with it really, but it doesn't let me save things as PDFs.
Well, Word does that sometimes, and even kind of Pages where you have to print, you go one more screen and hit print, and then you get the normal Apple print dialog box where PDF is an option.
So what do you mean by one more screen? What is it
In other words, when you hit print, does it just go right to print, or does it give you another screen pops up?
Okay, let me take a look at something just so
Does it give you a print dialog?
Yeah, it's a print dialog that allows you to create a PDF of whatever it is you would have printed.
Yeah, so like
Yeah,
in
it goes right to print. It says print, and there's not
and what
much
happens
dialogue.
when you hit print? Does it go right to your printer, or does the print dialog box come up?
When I hit print, nothing comes up. It goes away and
Okay. Yeah, try the new update and see, but like I said, use Pages.
One
well,
other thing I discovered in older versions of Word, it had the icon in the row. If you hit that, you went direct to printer. If you went Control P, which equivalent of Command P on ours, then you would get a print dialog and make a choice.
yeah, I always use Command P.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, but
So that might be another possibility.
neither Command P nor choosing print
Yeah.
gives me the option I need.
Yeah, try the update and I hope it works for you. Sorry, we can't help you on that. So.
Yep, I think Apple is deliberately sabotaging the free software.
No, Apple didn't build that program. So don't blame Apple, blame the developer of the program.
Okay.
And they've had plenty of time to make it work. So, and how much did you pay for LibreOffice?
It's free.
And at some point, sometimes you have to, if you're using something a lot, they need support and you may have to get something different. So we're going to move on from that. So Elaine, you're next because we got 3 more hands up.
Yep.
Thanks.
So a small thing, but my significant other recently upgraded his iPhone from an SE to a 12. So there's some significant changes there. So today I tried to go to his contacts to check an email address, and it was a long email address. We were having trouble sending email from his phone to this person with a long email address. So I go to the contact and I look at the email address, and you can't see the whole thing because it's so long. I don't know how to get to check the whole thing. I couldn't see whether it was a .com or a .org. How do you see the whole thing?
So if you put, because also too, people make their text big and things like that. So if you tap on it, it'll either highlight the whole thing or press and hold or tap and hit select all and then copy it, and you can go paste it somewhere else so that you're able to see what it says.
Yeah, that's just a pain in the butt. Okay,
Well,
there's
but,
no,
but the other thing is he on a Mac?
yes, he has a Mac. He has the
Okay,
Mac.
so
His
you can go
laptop.
in there because it's syncing on the cloud and it'll show you there what it is, or go to iCloud.com because
I was just hoping for
contacts-
something really quick. I just wanted to see, is this a .com or a .org? And I, to
Well,
go through all of the hassle.
So what you can do sometimes then too is just tap your finger and slide across and get to the end of it.
Yeah, that would have been helpful. Tap on it
Yeah.
and slide.
Yeah, and then just it's sometimes the handles are there and not, but it's yeah.
Okay.
Turn the phone sideways and see if it makes a difference.
Okay.
Well, you can also paste it right into the note part of the contact.
Yes.
That's
That's what
right
I-
there.
That's what I ended up doing, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Dennis, you're next.
Yeah, hi Ken. I got a map question for you. I'm traveling to Germany and Austria next week, and I'm wondering, I know Google lets you download maps directly to your phone, so if you get in an area where you don't have a connection, you can use it. Does Apple Maps also do that?
At this point, I don't think they do. And you need to, when you're on Wi-Fi with Google Maps, what you do is you hit one of the 3-dot ellipsis and there's an option and it says download map. And then you actually pick a rectangle area and you can zoom in and zoom out. And then you pick that area and it is comprehensive. And whenever you pick that area, it'll download it and then you have it. It stays for 30 to 90 days or even longer. But you just do those different areas. In fact, I'll do it many times if I'm traveling across, even over the ocean, or like when I did an Alaska cruise, I wanted to have my map, but I knew I was going to be out of cell range. So I just did the blocks all the way up, and then the GPS takes over and does that. Even though you don't have a connection, you still have GPS. The other thing is for particular cities, there's a thing called City Maps that lets you download particular cities. And I think you can still use HERE, HERE, and you can get offline on that. But again, that's why I encourage to have a good international plan because you really need to have it update and stuff. But yeah, downloading.
I do have T-Mobile, so it usually works pretty good.
Yeah, but I still do the maps occasionally too, or ahead of time, because you don't know when you're going to be out of cell range.
Right. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
You bet. Joan Whitaker, go right ahead.
Okay. There are times when you get something that you want to put an email in, and instead it says, do you want to put a fake email in? And I have, but I'm not exactly sure all the processes for that. So anyway, so what happens is that you still get on that the fake email still comes to your real email. So if you want to get rid of it, I'm not sure what to do, or if I should be using the same one, or what happens.
Great question. So you have to be using an Apple account and you have to be using Apple Mail.
Right.
And when you go to sign and you want to be using Safari. So when you go in to a place, let's say it's ABC Nut and Bolts, and you're gonna, then to find out more information, you have to sign up for it. But you don't want to get spammed by them and do anything else. Rather than give away your email address, which everybody in the world already has, but this is good so you can do less of it. You say, do you want it to do it? And instead of fake, I like to call it an alias. And so what an alias does is when you say, use this email address, it will make a unique email address that's only used for that one place. And it won't say ABC nuts and bolts or anything like that on it. It makes up, and I've seen where it does kind of like 2 words like pretty rose or something like that, and then some numbers. So when you sign in with that, or you use that email, they're not getting your real email. they're getting that. Now, with Apple Mail is, let's say, like, for instance, I have Ken Spencer at mac.com. If I use Pretty Rose 123, when ABC Nuts and Bolts sends me an email, it goes to Pretty Rose, but it comes into my mac.com and I can deal with it however I want, but they've never gotten my email. And if you want that consistently, if it's somebody you're getting email from on a periodic basis, you could even create a folder or a mailbox where it redirects that particular Pretty Rose one into that. And so you have them all there. So it allows you to manage it. It allows you to have a clean email address. And you still, and then when you, let's say they send you that email and then you want to reply to them, it will reply from the Pretty Rose 123 rather than your mac.com or icloud.com email. So
Okay.
it's good. And then, yes, it's still out there and it kind of lasts forever, but you don't care because you're not going to check it.
Well, if I wanted to get rid of that, I'm done with that website. I don't ever want to see them again. And they've got that alias email.
Well,
how do I get rid of it?
You just don't look at it.
Okay.
Because the thing is, you can't, okay, so let's say it's a subscription and it's a reputable location, just hit unsubscribe.
Okay.
Don't do that to places that are spammers, because then they go, oh, we got an email address, but it would unsubscribe from the Pretty Rose 123. It has, and it still does not affect your mac.com email address.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any, Bob or Al, do you, or Aunt Randy, any of you have any input on that?
I posted a few links directly from Apple support that outlines quite a bit of information there for anyone.
And they'll explain it much better than I can.
Yeah.
But it's a good tool, and I like that. And that's another reason to use Safari as your browser, because it offers you in there and have an iCloud address on there. So it really is good, because we all get too much email, and the less places our email addresses are out there, the better. All right. So I think we've exhausted it. If there's any more questions, this is the time. And if not, I'll do a screen share and go through the keynote here. Hopefully things will work. And all righty. So we're going to talk about Siri and shortcuts, predominantly Siri and the Amazon Echo devices a little bit. We have such short times in the general meetings that we're not going to go into detail too much. And I'm going to leave some Q&A time. In fact, we can do Q&A as we go through, because I don't have a ton of content. And we're just going to give some tips, but I also want to whet your appetite about Siri shortcuts, because Siri shortcuts have been around for, I think, 4 years or so, but they've matured, and I use them for lots of things, and they're very, very great. So a little bit about how Siri works. Basically, more and more Siri is being on it. It's more of the information for Siri is on your device, but it still needs to connect to the internet, because you're usually asking it to do questions and things like that. So the way that it works is you have your device, no matter your iPhone, your Apple Watch, and of course, to activate Siri on your Apple Watch, you can say the word "Hey" and the word Siri, or you press, mine just did it and it was dictating. Or you press the crown, which is the one that sticks out. There's 2 buttons on the Apple Watch, and you press and it activates Siri, or press and hold. So whenever you do activate Siri, it records what you're saying and sends it up to the cloud. Now, it's a very secure spot on the cloud, and it's where Apple servers are. So the beauty of this is there's some information on your phone, but it still has to connect. If you have a bad internet, Siri's not going to work for most things. But it goes up to the big supercomputer. In fact, one of the supercomputers is just east of Reno, east of Sparks by USA Parkway. Apple has a huge server farm up there. They have one up in Redmond, Washington. They have a few on the East Coast and stuff. All these server farms are where your iCloud data is stored, and they're just rows and rows of computers. There's a whole hillside of solar panels up there. If you're going along Highway 80, right around the Mustang exit, which was notorious for many things in the old days, that was where Mustang Ranch was, but the town of Mustang is there. And if you look to the left, you'll see a bunch of buildings, low buildings with very few cars around them, because all these server centers are very low key. And then you go up a little farther and you see the hillside is a big solar farm, and that's Apple's server up there. Anyway, this goes from the phone or the watch or from your computer up to the cloud. And it would, if you'd asked it a question, it would process that question and then send the result back. So I'll use my computer here and I'll say, what's the weather forecast for tomorrow?
It should be hot and sunny tomorrow with a high of 97 degrees.
So it noticed that. It went up from my computer up there, and it took what I said and then said, oh, I know where he is. He's in Lincoln, so give me the weather. Now, that's pretty much simple dictation, but Siri adds another bit of artificial intelligence to it, and I'll show you how that works. Will I need a jacket tonight?
The low temperature will be 66 degrees tonight.
So rather than just taking and saying, waiting for me to say, what's the weather like, by saying, will I need a jacket tonight? It says, oh, he must want to know what the weather will be like tonight. And Siri gave me the result. So that's the artificial intelligence part of it. And that's what happens in the supercomputer. And that's different than the simple dictation we use, where we're dictating a text message. That's true speech to text. Here it interprets a little bit. So we'll go a little farther here with Siri. Siri actually was a standalone company. Apple bought it years ago, and it was a Norwegian guy that started Siri, and it's a kind of cute story. Siri in Norwegian means beautiful woman who leads you to victory, and he was saving Siri to be his daughter's name. Well, he only had a boy, so he named Siri his dictation, and he was the first one to do the actual Siri as the artificial intelligence with dictation. So it's interesting when you have multiple devices in the house. So I have iPad, I have a Mac, I have iPhone, I have the watch, I have my AirPods, which can do Siri, and the HomePods and things like that. It's kind of goes by where you are on which one it brings up. So there is a way here, and this is a pretty good little article. In fact, I'll go ahead, and I don't even know. Al can probably just search for that thing. This is an Apple support article. A lot of times the wrong one activates itself. So I use Siri to control all the fans in my house and the lights in most of my home. And all of my devices are not what's called Apple HomeKit. We'll talk about that a little more in ongoing here. I always use it like, you put clothes in the washer. I'll have it set a timer so I know I can take it out and what time to get it and put it in the dryer. This is more of those same rules, which I'll kind of go over more on Saturday. But the HomePod Mini is out there. It's a great Siri device. You can have it. It plays wonderful music. If you have Apple Music, it's great. You can have it set, anything you can tell your phone to do as far as Siri, it will do it. And if you get two of them and set them in a room, they'll become a stereo speaker set. So, and this was how to do that. If you have HomePods, basically you just go right into the phone and does it. Now, what they've done also is with the HomePods, you have multiple people in your house. It tries to differentiate each person's voice. So if you say, play my playlist of this, it would know it's me. If I had someone else living in the house and they said, play my playlist, it would recognize that person's voice. So you kind of have to fine tune this stuff to make it be more effective for you. Then we go to the Amazon devices, the Amazon Echoes. I used to really encourage those more than the Apple ones because there were more things that could connect to them. But I'll tell you, Apple's HomeKit has improved dramatically. There are so many more devices available on the Apple HomeKit. And of course, they're available on Amazon and Google also. But Apple's is more secure and you're going to get a little higher end product with that. But I can't speak highly enough about the Alexa type devices. So, and by the way, like for instance, my master bedroom is also where my computer is set up. So it's kind of like an office. I have next to me at the computer desk, I have an Echo Show, which is the one on the left here that has a display. In my bathroom, I have the little Echo Dot. And then by my bed, right next to my HomePod, I also have the larger Alexa device. And I've named them 3 different things so that when I tell it, if I say Echo, which is the device right next to me is my Echo Off, that way I have them 3 different names so they respond to it. For instance, if I'm in the shower, it's really easy. I can tell it to play certain music. It's plugged in on the wall right next to my shower, and it plays that. Or I can ask it for the weather forecast or the time, and it's there. And all my other devices don't wake up and do it. So there are, and I hear there's two new wake words coming out. I haven't seen it yet, but the wake words can be the typical Alexa we're used to, and Amazon, computer, or Echo. And you go into the app for Alexa, I don't want to say it too much, and you can adjust the wake word for most devices. Some devices you can't change. Mary, up, computer off. Mary, you have a question.
Yeah, we've got an Echo device, and I also have Apple Music. How do you, the Apple Plus or whatever it is, how do you play Apple Music on the Echo?
Al will be providing you a link very soon. Okay. But you have to go in, and I think you go into the app, you have to authorize it as a skill. It's not like a skill, but you have to authorize it, and then it'll play through it. And of course, if you have Amazon Prime, you get not the best music because they do have a streaming service, but believe it or not, with Prime, you get quite a selection of music. And in fact, to take it one step further, I have an Echo device in my car, and it plays through my phone to my Bluetooth speakers. So I can tell it, I have and it plugs into my cigarette lighter, and it's always on, and I can say the A word and do the same thing.
So when you say authorize, do you mean authorize the Apple or authorize Echo?
No. So basically what it is it has to know that you're paying for Apple Music.
Which the device?
The Echo device has to know that you pay for it. And Al just posted the link, play Apple Music, and it shows right there. So you go into the app and you just authorize it. It's like a skill, but actually it is a skill, it looks like. So you add it right there. And another little trick, I don't know if you're aware, this happens on both the HomePods And on the Echo devices, you can set up music groups. And I could say, for instance, if I'm listening to music, I can set up a group where it's one of my devices in my master bedroom, one in my living room, and one in my kitchen. And I say, play music, play whatever it is, instead of just on the device. I say, play on whatever I've named that group. And it plays on those 3 devices. But the best part is they're synced. Because if you say, play Bob Dylan songs on one device, and then say on the other device, go play Bob Dylan songs, they're totally off. They're not doing the same thing. So that's called a speaker group. Did that answer it for you, Mary?
Yeah, I think so. And I got the stuff from Al because when you pay for the Apple, you might as well make use of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the other thing is, you guys, at the end of Al will be copying all these links down and putting them out in a PDF. But when you quit Zoom tonight, there's also a little chat dialogue that has all these links and everything in there, because Al does such a great job curating this, and it really, really amplifies stuff. Just some other Echo devices. Now, there's another one that's been out for a long time, and I just want to bring it up quickly. SoundHound, or now it's called Hound. And what both Siri and the Echo devices are starting to do this more now. But what I found with Hound is it allows you to further drill down and get what you want. And I'll just give you an example without bringing it up. When we do the Saturday class, I'll do it. But let's say I wanted to find hotels in Lake Tahoe. I can say, find me hotels in Lake Tahoe. Then I could say, find me hotel. And then you would say, with availability on September 3rd, with a swimming pool, between $100 and $150. You can drill down and you can further qualify that search in the same search. You're not having to go back and do it. So it's really pretty neat. I use an example of that. In fact, I'll see if I can do this with Siri, because it's really pretty cool. So I go to there and I say, find the best sushi restaurant.
Okay, here's what I found.
So what it came up on the computer, I don't know, are you guys seeing my Siri screen that came up?
Yes.
Great. So if you'll notice, the first one is 7.3 miles away, but it's got a 5-star rating because I said, find the best sushi restaurant. So another way to do this is find the best sushi restaurant nearby.
Okay, here's what I found.
And it's still, actually, it's still quite a ways away. Find sushi nearby.
Okay, here's what I found.
So now it's sorted by distance. The closest one is 0.7 miles, 1.8, and 2.1. And let's see if it has my good place, Raku. Ooh, Green Elephant, wonderful restaurant. Oh, Raku there, fantastic. So you can ask it different ways. And Siri, so what Apple uses is Yelp to get this information. And it's great. You would normally ask this from your phone, and you can do it. And then you can even, on the phone, you would say, call the nearest sushi restaurant. It would come up and it would give you a choice of them and things. So it's the way you frame the question. SoundHound takes it one step further and lets you drill down to each one. So, or Hound, the app is called Hound. The original thing was called SoundHound. Al has all of these links, and I always encourage you to go to Apple support channel using Siri on the phone. Then get to know shortcuts. That's a really big one. And I'm going to talk about shortcuts in a minute here. Using voice control, that's different than using Siri. Have it read text, navigate using voiceover, and then now the other links about how to use multiple users on the HomePod and other Siri tips. This Siri user guide is not from Apple, and it's very, very good. Both of these Siri user guides. And then this thing, Amazon is always updating the features for the Echo devices. The Echo devices have gotten more and more powerful all the time. And then there's the link for Hound. So again, there's the Mini. And all right, so I'm going to I've got a website up for shortcuts. Actually, so what a shortcut is. In fact, everybody, why don't everyone grab your phone. In fact, let me display my phone. 1 second here. Let me go into stop share. Share. Your phone is where you're going to use it most of the time. That's why, even though we have Siri on the computer. All right. So in the phone, if I go into this folder and you see, you can just search for shortcuts. This is an app, and it is a separate app, and it's from Apple. So shortcuts, they have some built-in ones, and they have some other ones you can do. And it's again like programming. So I have, if I go here and I go to HomeKit, for instance, or it's called Home now. Home is where these are all things that I have my living room fan, my Ecobee, my HomePods, my Apple TVs, things like that. So, for instance, my Ecobee is there, and I can adjust it if I want, but I can also have Siri adjust it. So I can say, I'll do it this way. I'm going to use the button on the side of the phone because I don't want to say the word hey and the word Siri and have everybody's stuff go off. Adjust Ecobee to 76 degrees. And you'll notice on the screen, it changed cool to 76. So that's how I use Siri. Now, that's not a shortcut. But what I can do in shortcuts, I could generate a shortcut that says, when I get home, set the thermostat to a certain level. I use this Bond device, and I have all my fans set up that way. So I can say, turn my wall light on, and I say that with Siri, and the word I say there is, I don't have it right here. Actually, I have my fan overhead, but let's do this. Turn wall light on. Okay. So it turned it on. I can have it adjust. I'm going to say, turn wall light off. Okay. I should have specified dining room when I said it. Let me look at some of my other ones here. So, for instance, those of you with Teslas, you know, you can get an app that uses this called Stats or Tesla Scope. And what it's done is I can control what the car can do. And the car it has a remote control for the garage door opener. So I have open the garage, and it will open my garage door. I have named opening the trunk on my car it says open sesame. So it will actually activate the car and open that. I have some different podcasts. I can say play Clark Howard podcast, play different radios. Let's see. Oh, you can, this is a couple of ones Apple has. Check my order status. If I had an order in with Apple, I can do that. I can say view tomorrow's appointments. Actually, speak body of article, I haven't gotten to work. That's one that would be nice though. You're in the car and you've got a Safari page up and you could say, read me what's on that page. So then here's these what's called starter shortcuts. And again, I'm going to go into great detail in this in the 3-hour class. But the shortcuts are some examples here. But if we go down here to gallery, this gives you some suggestions with devices that it knows you already have and some routines you've already done. So it suggests different things. Turn text into audio. Actually, that one I don't remember seeing before. And that's the one I was just talking about. If I'm reading an email or something else, it doesn't necessarily work for books, but you can say, turn text into audio. Stop distractions. So you can also build up routines. So you can do a shortcut that can do multiple things. Like when you're going to bed, you can say, you can tell the routine, and it's a combination of moves. With the routine, you would say, turn the thermostat down to 78, lock the front door, turn the ceiling fans and the lights off. And boom, it would do all of those with one routine. And what you would name that routine is say, I'm going to bed or something like that. A lot of you might have mechanized blinds now too. You can tell that in the morning. You could say, another one you could have your coffee maker all ready to go. And you say, start my morning routine, which would then turn some music on, turn the lights on, draw the shades, put the thermostat where you want. And if you have a timer on your device and it's connected, it would start making your coffee for you. I don't think you can do the grinding. So shortcuts really are, you activate shortcuts with Siri, but what you do is you build the shortcut with any of your devices that are connected. So let's see if there's any questions on shortcuts so far. Anybody? It's new and different and really, really cool. So I'm going to go back and do some Siri stuff right now because Siri, so I have a love and hate relationship with Siri, and Siri's gotten better, and it continues to get better. Let me just see if this noise works for you guys. What time is it? I'm going to do it on the computer because it didn't make any sound because it's hooked up here. So let me go back and stop share again and go back and do the computer desktop. All right. So I'm going to go activate Siri on the computer here. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Please refer to the Woodchuck Getting Started guide. How about another tongue twister?
Well, okay, I don't have any others right now.
Siri sells Siri shells by the Siri shore.
You can say, what's the circumference of the Earth?
Here's some information.
So it went right to a Wikipedia article. Sometimes, like on your phone, it will start reading it to you. Let's see. So, and there's a difference between Siri and dictation. So let me bring up a text edit. Make it easy here. And I'll make it big text so everybody can see it. This is simple, quote, speech to text dictation, close quote. It should, comma, and hopefully will, comma, type everything I say as I say it, period. New line. My recommendation when using dictation is to, comma, think in phrases, comma, but speak in words, period. This way, comma, hopefully you will enunciate each word, comma, and you will put in punctuation, comma, because you're thinking in phrases. New line. When you say the word new and the word line, comma, it's like one carriage return on the typewriter, period. New line. It doesn't seem to be working too well on this. It works very well on the phone, period. New paragraph. New paragraph. Well, comma, that part of it doesn't seem to be working well, period. So if I say, comma, it just took a little time to catch up. Now that's strange, period. New line. If I say something like, will I need a jacket tonight, question mark, it just types it. Or if I type, I'm drunk, you'll see what happens, period. So I invoked that with the keyboard, and that wasn't Siri, that was dictation. So now if I go to Siri, will I need a jacket tonight?
The low temperature will be 64 degrees tonight.
So we saw that earlier. So dictation is really what you're saying, and Siri interprets that. This works on the phone. I haven't tried it on the computer. We'll see. I'm drunk.
Be safe and take care of yourself.
So on your phone, it asks you if you want them to call an Uber or a cab. So it's pretty good. And I'm a firm believer that they gave Siri a bit of an attitude, because you're going to embrace it more if it's not this very strict, very stringent, monotone voice. By giving Siri a bit of an attitude, it lets you embrace it more. And you can say things like, what is the meaning of 42?
I found this on the web.
Oh, I used to be able to say the meaning of life. Who makes the best phone?
Wait, there are other phones?
Who makes the best computer?
This is awkward.
One they've changed a bit, and I've always liked it, is what is 0 divided by 0?
If nothing is divided by nothing, then there's nothing to divide or divide it with, and the division never happened. So my answer is no.
Well, it used to say, if 0 is divided by 0 and you have 0 friends and you go through the whole thing, and it was great, but it's got, let me see if the phone does it any different. What is 0 divided by 0? Wow, it's gotten less fun. I apologize for that. Should bring out the old one. It was pretty good. Let's see. Anybody know any other good Siri ones, Siri tricks? What do you got, Al?
Along the about shortcuts, there's a guy, his name is Matthew Casanelli. He originally worked for the iOS app called Workflow that Apple bought. And if you go to his site, he just has hundreds of shortcuts. And
I remember seeing that. Matthew, what?
Casanelli, the link's in the chat.
Oh, great. Hang on.
He's got like hundreds. He's made essentially a small cottage industry of creating shortcuts, and he's got a whole bunch of free ones, hundreds of free ones in there. And then if you become a member of his site, he's got a whole bunch of other bundle stuff.
Oh, wow.
Really, it's just a tremendous amount of stuff. And like I said, he was in the technology, that layer of technology when it was in its early inception there with the iOS app called Workflow that Apple bought.
Right. Yeah, they integrated shortcuts. Workflow was what the app was called, and then of course it's when Apple does it themselves, that's called Sherlocking the app. So, and that's when the old thing. Remember, we used to search on our Macs. There wasn't really good search, and it was called Sherlock. And then Apple integrated good search, so that made Sherlock not really valuable anymore. Kind of with Workflow that was out, and Apple actually bought it. And this is great.
There's also another young lady. Her name is Rosemary Orchard. She appears on the Twit Network weekly, and she's also a shortcuts guru, and she's got a book. It's in second edition called "Take Control of Shortcuts." I'll post that
it's
link.
one of the Take Control books. So that's with Adam Engst, I think. Yeah,
and she's also really good. She's on weekly. I get dealing with Micah Sargent, and they discuss all things iOS. And she just jumps real deep into integrating shortcuts and just about every aspect of her life, and she's really knowledgeable.
So anybody, including Al and Bob, Randy, has anybody been using shortcuts and have any ones that they like? I mean, even if it's for your own use. Oh, and here's the one that Al just linked. Great. And that link's in the chat. Take Control books are quite good. Nobody's got any big shortcuts. Chris, go ahead.
So I'm not using shortcuts, but did you say Ecobee thermostat was something you could link as a shortcut?
Yeah, you can do that straight with Siri without having to do a shortcut. But the beauty of the shortcut is it allows you to set up a routine if you want, and you can make it be part of the routine. But Ecobee now responds, it's HomeKit capable. So it goes in, it used to be only with the Amazon and the Google device. Now it is HomeKit compatible, and you add it in home, and then you can do shortcuts all you want, but you can just do straight Siri too.
I don't know if this would take too much time or if it would be helpful to everybody, but if you just kind of went step by step through how you add one item to shortcuts, or you want to save that for next week?
Yeah, because it takes, there's so many permutations and stuff that we really need to get down and dig when people can do it. But simply you go to home and it will search for devices. So, and that's just, since mine are already on there, I'm going to have to take them off to do it to show up. But as long as it's on your Wi-Fi, you should be able to go to home and say add devices. Same thing with your Amazon device. It will look for devices connected to your network and add them.
Okay.
Is that, and so it's much easier than you would think. And then once they're added there, then you can expand what they do in shortcuts. But so the other thing with shortcuts is, and how I use shortcuts to do stuff is, there are certain apps that allow to do shortcuts. Like for instance, my Hunter Douglas ceiling fan is an app, and with shortcuts, I tell it to do this with the app. And even though it's not HomeKit, it allows it to do it and send it to the app. Gosh, what are other thing I'm using? I use it so often. I'm just thinking it's mostly fans, lights. So the Wise, if you have any of the Wise light bulbs, it'll do it. Any of those others. Again, it's not just that it has to be HomeKit, because HomeKit responds to Siri very well and does all this. But if you have a device that's not HomeKit, but you have an app, what it would do is within that app, a lot of times the app developer will put in Siri shortcuts to do different things. I don't know if I'm explaining that well. Again, let me give you the example of my car. So the Tesla app doesn't do any of that, but there's apps that allow you to turn the headlights on or open the doors or do things like that, open the trunk. So in those apps, the app developer has developed Siri shortcuts, and you go in there and they give you what the command would be like, open the trunk. And I go into that. Oh gosh, let me just display it. It's probably easier than explaining. And I'm just, things are messed up because I'm not having video tonight. So let's do this, share. Okay, so if I go to the stats app, for instance, oh great, keep crashing. Okay, let's not use the stats app. Let's use oh God. I think I have to reload the stats app. Wow. It is not my night for this. Let me see if I can get into this one. Well, let me see, what else do I have that uses it? Let me go to my shortcuts. Okay, so I have the Bond device. So the Bond is actually, that's in my HomeKit. So this is the app that controls my ceiling fans. Basically, it's a quasi remote control. And I've got all my devices here. And all I had to do was go into, and let me make sure everything's good here. Okay. So if I go to home, so if I go here to kitchen fan, let's see. So it just did it, but I'll go here. Come on. Select. It's not letting me in.
This isn't seeming like much of a shortcut, Ken.
Well, no,
right?
once it's set up, oh no, but see, once it's set up, I just say that, or I tap this.
Oh, okay.
So in other words, I can be walking around the house and tell it to do it. So I'm having failures today like crazy because it's not letting me go in and modify those. So let's just try these starter. Let's go into the gallery, for instance. Open Safari and Reader, let's say. So I'm going to hit plus on that. So now when I tap that, it says Open Safari Reader. Takes any link and opens it with the current app using View Controller. So if I say, so it gives you a suggestion about the shortcut. Say, hey Siri, open Safari Reader to run, and then it appears in the share sheet. So if I add that shortcut, oh, I already have it. So I can say, open Safari Reader. And it didn't. Open Safari Reader. Even their new built-in ones. All righty. Well, darn, it's almost time for the raffle. Man, I am tech cursed today. So I don't know why. It was one of those days too. Same thing was happening with my clients. So anyway, let's revisit that on Saturday. Any questions that that I can answer? Siri is great. Alexa, I don't use the Google one. I've got a Google thing, but I hardly ever use it. But the Alexa devices are really, really good. Mess around, download. I think Hound is free as an app. I'm not sure. It used to be. I'm so cheap that I have a version of it that's been there forever. So let me get some numbers from Lisa. Hang on.
Okay.
What's our total is 300, and what's our member number?
36 for attendees.
36. Good odds tonight. So fantastic. So we're gonna raffle off 4 $25 Amazon gift cards and 2 $100 Amazon gift cards, and then one that goes to the entire membership. And it'll be a different number. So if your number is 10 on the first round, it won't be the same for the last one. If you win a second prize, you have to give one of them up. So if you win a 25 and 100, you can give up the 100 if you want, but I would recommend you'd give up the 25, and we'll re-raffle it off for someone else that wasn't so good on that. When I do Siri, in fact, what I'll do is, since it does show up with the Siri on the screen, I'll show you that. But if for some reason I slur my words and the draw isn't work, it doesn't matter what number comes up. If it only chose 1 through 30 instead of 1 through 36, that one is thrown out and I redo the draw. So any questions on the raffle while I'm bringing up my screen so we can see it? Okay, we'll go back to Zoom. Oh, my Zoom screen won't show, will it? Okay.
No.
Let's do. There we go. And let's do this. So I'm doing the first 4 will be the $25 gift cards. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
That would be 18.
18. And Lisa or Mary, which one of you has the number?
I have the attendees tonight.
Okay. So no one else has seen these numbers. So Lisa is the only one that knows who number 18 is.
And that's Joan Whitaker.
Congratulations, Joan.
Thank you.
All right. One more $25 gift card. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
It's 6.
6. Okay, we went from the exact middle to near the front.
Carlos Miranda.
Carlos, congratulations again. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
It's 29.
29. Same distance up the other way.
Ray Bolke.
All right. Congratulations, Ray. And the last of the $25 gift cards. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
It's 13.
13.
13 is
Lucky number 13.
Elaine Hebert.
Congratulations, Elaine. All righty. So for next two will be for the $100 gift cards. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
The answer is 23.
23 we didn't have earlier.
I don't know. We ought to check if his check came in for membership. It appears to be Ken Spencer.
Oh, wow. So the whole time we've been doing Zoom, I've done it twice now. I think the stack is decked.
You know, Bob,
The deck is
we better
stacked.
check on that.
Yeah. All right.
So,
Give
Congrats.
me a random number between 1 and 36.
The answer is 23.
Oh, it's stacked. Never mind. I don't get to win twice. Now that's weird. So, and by the way, it's inclusive. So 1 and 36, we've already tested works. So
But
that's
that
really
shows it
bizarre.
is random.
Yeah. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
The answer is 3.
All right. I feel better about it now. So that's the
So
other
top of the
$100 gift
list.
card.
Barbara Badeau.
All right. Congratulations, Barb.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Now
And
we're
Mary,
doing.
and Mary will host the all member.
Okay, great. So this will be the all membership. The member doesn't have to be in attendance. And I always email them a thing telling them they're going to get an email from Amazon because we don't want people to think that it's a spam email from them. And then they actually like me. So I make sure they have my phone number and everything to know that I'm not some thing saying, well, look for this from Amazon, you know. We're all kind of looking out for that stuff these days. So all right, so this will be 1 through 300. Give me a random number between 1 and 300.
It's 250.
250.
250, and that is Chris Dobson.
Congratulations. So Chris is here. So
Yay,
she'll know
thank
that it's
you.
not spam.
Right on.
So, wonderful. So those emails will go out this evening. Thank you, first of all, Al, so much. Bob, always for coordinating the membership. We have another board member, Randy Hare, who coordinated the membership survey, and then Mary and Lisa, who do a great job helping get all these numbers together and getting the real people to make sure that 2 people aren't on and things like that for the drawing. So, and great questions, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll stick around for a few minutes. Remember, when you close chat, it will bring up a text chat. You can get that, but Al does a great job of posting it on Facebook and then getting it to Bob, and it's in a nice PDF form. So wonderful job. This wasn't my night for stuff. It's kind of the way today's
It's all good.
Anyway, oh, and Barb, okay, we got a couple questions. So go right ahead, Barbara.
It's not really a question. I just wanted to tell you that while you were dinking around with everything, I made up a shortcut. It was for tell me the weather here, because I'm always interested in it because I do a lot of walking now that I have my Apple Watch, and I walked every day for the past 5 months, 30 minutes.
Very good.
Yeah, and so I'm really interested in the weather and especially the temperature in the summer. So that's
Perfect.
great. And I moved between Roseville and Sacramento, so I'm hoping it'll work out.
Yeah, so it should show your location. And actually, even if you just ask it that without a shortcut, it will base it on your GPS location. Or you could say, give me the weather at a certain spot. So like if
that was one of the easy choices that came up, you know, when it gives you some choices. And so I thought, okay, I'll make one.
Yeah, perfect. And it should respond and then so on your Apple Watch. So if I make the Siri shortcut on the phone, I can activate it from the Apple Watch, even though it doesn't show up as a shortcut there. So you say, like with Siri, like in your case, show me the weather here, whatever it is. If you do that on the watch, it communicates with the phone and it will do it for you.
She said one set.
The shortcut may not work on your watch.
Uh-oh.
Do you want to run it anyway?
Yes.
Run shortcut or cancel.
Okay.
run.
Sorry.
That's interesting.
But
But it
it's okay.
it works most of the time.
It might work tomorrow. Sometimes
Yeah.
it takes. I'll see. But thank you. Thank you for showing us that.
You bet. Congratulations on winning the raffle. And one of our other raffle winners, Chris, you've got your hand up. Go for it.
Yeah, so if I add something like, say, the Ecobee to a shortcut, will I still be able to use the app that I have installed on my phone?
Yeah, great question. So nothing prevents anything else from working. And so you can get at the things multiple ways. For instance, you can go to your Ecobee itself and adjust it on the wall, but by using even just regular Siri with Home or the Amazon device, it doesn't obviate it. And then also in your shortcut, you can do it. But in your shortcut, you can be more specific. I mean, so again, it's where you could get a routine. And if you want your temperature set to 72 degrees at night or something, you just say, you'd put it in your routine for going to bed and it knows 72. Otherwise, you just tell it what you want it to be.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Appreciate it.
One thing that's kind of weird with ceiling fans, I've noticed, it's difficult to get it to choose fan speeds. It can be done, but you got to play with it. And what I found is, instead of saying turn the fan on and then say to speed number 2, I have a shortcut for fan speed 1, fan speed 2, fan speed 3, and I tell them different things. Then the other thing is like with the Bond device, which I really, really love, I have to differentiate. I have a dining room fan. I have a master bedroom fan. I have a living room fan and a kitchen fan. And so I have had to name each fan separately so that I can control them. So, and then same with shades and things like that. So, but it is wonderful for automation for lots of different things. If you have a Raccio spring, well, I don't really recommend it with sprinkler systems because you don't want it to go haywire, especially with what's going on right now with our water situation. So, and I do actually, speaking of that, I highly recommend in fact, if you're in PG&E, I'm sorry, if you're in SMUD and Sac City and stuff, there are some great incentives to mechanize your sprinkler systems, and you can cut your water use in a third. And the beauty of some of the ones like Raccio, Rachio, might be 2 C's. Anyway, what it does is it goes out and since it gets your nearest weather station and automatically uses that information to set your sprinkler schedule for you. For instance, in the winter, if we're going to have a hard freeze, which is very rare, it will make sure your sprinklers don't come on because that's not good for your foliage. But if it's rain's expected tomorrow, let's say, it would then not turn your sprinklers on today because it knows it's going to get water tomorrow. And you can also go in and manually adjust. And what's really cool is when you set up your sprinkler setup, and I can do that all with voice. But for instance, if you had like front yard east bushes, instead of just naming it that, you actually can, with your phone, take a picture of that area and you know exactly which ones you're activating with the Raccio. And they have 8 and 16 stations. And there are some big rebates on that because it really does cut down your water flow dramatically. So, and I don't think it's HomeKit, but it's an app, and you don't change that much. And when you're setting it up, the really cool thing is it uses, I won't call it artificial intelligence, but like my front yard has a bit of a slope. So that's taken into consideration when it's trying to figure out how much water I need. And then you can always tie in, they have water sensors you can tie back into it if you wanted to see how much you're getting in an area. But oh man, with the drought the way it is and stuff, it's a huge deal. And water's not cheap these days. So that can help a lot. And Ecobee, I think, is the best thermostat for automation because you can get sensors for individual rooms. And the higher ones come with that, or you can always add the sensors. So in my house, for instance, my master bedroom gets the afternoon sun. So in the afternoons, I have it use that sensor. And the rest of the day, the kitchen's on the other side of the house. I can have the kitchen be the morning and the living room in the afternoon, and it can adjust. And each of those sensors is, quote, a thermostat, even though it's just this little sensor that uses a little wafer battery in it. And the battery's good for at least 6 months. So, all right. Any other questions before we cut out of here? Al, you've got your part saved before I quit. Dennis, go ahead.
Just a question. Talk about that security update for the OS system. Would that pop up from Apple that says download the latest updates?
It depends on if you have automatic updates, it might have done it, but I highly recommend going into system preferences and software update to make sure you're on it, because this one's important.
Yeah, right. They're just an update for the phone, but I'm worried about my iMac.
Are you running Monterey?
Yeah, the latest one, right?
Yeah, so it's been out for
about a week.
Yeah, about a week.
Maybe
so you may have already gotten it.
Yeah.
But if not, just go in there and it'll run software update. And if it says you're up to date, you're up to date.
Okay, cool. Okay, thanks everybody. I'll see you later.
All right, and Joellen, go ahead and ask your question.
Did you say that there could be a shortcut made to open the garage door if your garage door opener uses an app? I have MyQ.
Yeah, the MyQ thing is a thing, but now you don't. Do you have the Model Y or the Model 3?
Y.
Do you have the garage door opener in your car?
No.
Okay, so if you had it in your car, what the app is, it's the Tesla app. It's not the Tesla app, it's the Stats app, and it activates the home link. So that works that way. So what you can do with if you have the MyQ, there are, on Amazon, you can look for a company called Meross, MEROSS, and they make a little adapter that works with Amazon Echo, and I'm not positive it works with HomeKit. But the problem with you know what? I haven't tried it, and I'm going to try it, because the MyQ app is really weird. It doesn't want to work with those, but I wonder if you could do a Siri shortcut because it's an app. What they want to do is they want to sell you their monthly service that allows you to connect to that stuff. And they just discontinued what's called the Hub, the Chamberlain and LiftMaster are the same company. And they just discontinued not that little MyQ, but the one called a Hub that was HomeKit compatible. And I can't find them anywhere. I wanted to make sure I had one since it was HomeKit, but it's not. And again, what they're trying to do is, if you want to automate that stuff, you pay a monthly fee, which is terrible. I hate those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So, but Meross, and there's there's one, look up Tailwind, TAILWIND. And what these are is little devices that they connect to your Wi-Fi, and they essentially get in the middle of your little switch that opens and closes the door, and they just go through that. So both of those take a little bit of geekery to get them going, but they will work for that. And Tailwind's pretty neat, because I think with Tailwind, you can even get the option of having it sense when your GPS says you're near your house to open your garage. Yeah, I'll just link the Meross.
Oh, thank you.
One that I had, and you know what? I found that they've been pretty good, and they're making other home automation things now. So they're one that's kind of rising. the cream's rising to the top on that a little bit. And then again, like I said, there's another one called Tailwind, and I'm not sure how it's these days. I had moderate luck with both of those, and luckily I was able to just activate it through my car now. So
Cool. All right, thank you.
good deal. Anything else before we take off? Well, thanks. And hopefully the next Saturday class, I won't have these tech woes. I'll be checking stuff out before I go. That's just weird. Anyway, happens every so often.
It happens.
Thank you.
All right.
And